Eric Buzzetto is the physical education teacher over at the JFK Elementary School. Do I have that right, my friend?
Yes, you do.
Tell me about you a little bit. I was doing some homework on you last night, and the stuff that was popping out in a Google search was crazy. There was so much of it.
Oh boy. I've been a phys ed teacher for 23 years now, in Boston, New York. It's something I've always wanted to do. I'm very passionate about it. I absolutely love my job. I teach a K through 5 right now. I've been teaching. I've taught middle school. I've taught high school. So I've taught at every single level now. The elementary school is definitely my passion. Uh, I coached basketball for 20 years, soccer. I love to coach, but once I had my kids, I have 3 wonderful kids. I have a daughter and 2 sons, and I asked them every season, "Do you mind if Dad coaches?" They always said yes. One year they said no, and that's the year I stopped coaching. To me, family comes first. So once they said no, they wanted Dad at home, then Dad's going to be home more. So
How many kids in your school, about, if you had to guess?
in the K2 building, there's probably a little over 600.
That's unbelievable, man. I was thinking last night how old I am. And at 55, I remember my gym teacher so well from elementary school. Little did I know, being that age, that I would be going through the next 40 plus years of my life and never forgetting my gym teacher and the impact that he had on me. And I was sitting there last night, and I was reading up on you, and I was just reflecting on my own life, and I'm like, I remember that huge track and field event. It was, we were going for state championship, and my ankle caught that second from last hurdle, I think it was. And I went down, and I was devastated, man. I mean, I want to guess I was probably maybe 12, 13, 14 years old. And if it wasn't for that gym teacher and what he said to me afterwards, I don't know that I would have been anywhere near as okay as I was. That guy had a real prolonged impact on me. What do you think when you're one guy and you got 600 people in your audience that most of which are probably going to remember you for a very, very long time? You are in a very bright spotlight, my friend, as all administrators are, I think, but especially that gym teacher, man.
Yeah, it's been a pretty weird career for me. I mean, as when I started, I was 22 years old and I was teaching high school kids, so I was teaching 18-year-olds. So now later in my career, I'm teaching the K2. So one of the one of the cool things for me is now I'm teaching children of students I first had in my first couple of years of teaching. So that's been a really cool full circle for me. In terms of you know in terms of the impact that I might have on you know my students' lives, it definitely goes both ways. They have a huge impact on me, and I definitely feed off their energy as well. I mean, one of the biggest things for me too is I've been blessed with amazing coworkers. I have I've had one colleague, Jen, for the past, I think, 11 or 12 years. And then we have we have a brand new teacher in now, and he's been amazing. So having amazing coworkers really keeps your energy up, throughout the day. And the kids see it too. But, when the kids come into class and they see all the equipment out and, and their eyes are, wide open, you can't help it but just be, super excited to hang out with them and teach them and, I try to mold them for the future a little bit.
How old are you, Eric?
I'm 45.
So when you're, when you're way up there in age, let's say, 80, 85, whatever, you're realistically probably going to remember maybe a handful of the 600 students, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. You might even remember one or two, and that's it. But of those 600 students, I'm guessing, and this would be just an assumption, I'm guessing probably 80% of those students, maybe more, are going to remember their gym teacher.
It's pretty amazing. And it's you know, it
Do you
it is
ever
definitely
think about that?
not until you just brought it up, to be honest with you. It is pretty amazing to think about that. And now that you brought it up, it's like it's one of those. It's actually one of the reasons why I became a phys ed teacher as well. It's because I've had that's I had great people. I still talk to one or two of them. A couple have unfortunately passed on, but they've had a huge impact in my life. And it's the reason why I also went to this field. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It is a humbling thing to hear. It's definitely a lot of responsibility, but it's fun. It is my job per se, but it's something I just absolutely love to do. So I don't even think of it like a job.
It's so much more than just physical education. It's so much more than getting kids active and getting them to move around and get in shape and learn about healthy eating habits and making healthy choices. There's so much more involved here. Yesterday, we took a very deep dive into the subject of bullying on the air. And I had some folks locally that shared the microphone with me on the couch and were very, very transparent about some local issues that we're having. And, it just got me thinking. I mean, it seems like bullying is everywhere. And at some level, there's going to be bullying. I don't think that there's a school anywhere in the world that is 100% bully-free. Even schools that Sweethearts and Heroes has gone into, and like I said yesterday, I used the words flipped upside down and made things drastically better. But I think to some level, there's always going to be some form of bullying somewhere. We're not always going to see it. We're not always going to smell it as administrators, but it's happening, and sometimes it's happening right in front of us, and we don't even realize it. What do you do as a gym teacher to have your eyes wide open to this and to have the message that Sweethearts and Heroes brings in your pocket as a gym teacher all the time? What do you do to make sure that that's being echoed all the time, even while there's play, while there's activities going on in the gym?
Yeah. So I mean, we have these certain times throughout the day, little half hour, 45-minute blocks where I actually go into the classroom, um, and I talk about empathy, and the sweetheart, and heroes message. So they're they're getting it almost every day from us as well. And then, throughout the class in the gym, if I always have groups and stuff, and I do allow them even at the young age to make their own groups. And the more I go into the classroom and the more I am talking about empathy and helping students out, if there's one kid left out, it's only for a short amount of time now because other kids are saying, "Hey, why do you come join our group?" Hey guys, why do we go with that kid today or something like that. So it's been pretty cool to see, even at the kindergarten level, which is tough at that age, but we are seeing it, and it's been pretty amazing to see.
And you realize, as well as other administrators, that the responsibility of teaching, whether it's physical education, whether it's math, science, social studies, English, whatever, that you're teaching things far beyond that. You're teaching, as you said, empathy. You're teaching sharing. You're teaching things, frankly, that mom and dad may not be teaching at home. And that responsibility is falling on your shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, looking at, my own children and stuff, when I leave at, 8 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and they're gone from 8 to 4. So, the majority of their day is not with, me and my wife. So I am trusting, their school to, to guide them in the right direction. So, I mean, as a parent who does that as well, I am definitely trusting them. So I definitely understand, when there's the 600 pairs of parents who are dropping their kids off every day at my school, I'm definitely, one of the people that, they're going to come to if they have the problem or an issue. And I mean, definitely one of the biggest things at the elementary level is every issue that they come to is definitely a small issue in my mind, but it could be a huge issue in their world right now. So if someone, stole their favorite toy, I'm like, all right, then go get a different toy. But to them, that's their whole world. So we got to, talk about, you can't take things and you got to take your turn and all that stuff. So, it's definitely trying to, teach the kids that, you may not think it's a huge issue, but, to that person at that moment, it is a big deal, and just how to deal with it properly.
Yeah. Wow. What perspective. How did you hear about the Sweethearts and Heroes program? How did you get introduced to Tom Murphy and Rick Yarosh and the rest of the team?
So there was another guy, Jason, who I met first, and it was called a Southeastern Zone Conference. It's a huge phys ed conference that we hold on election day, down here in New York. And there was this big guy. He was up in front. He was a keynote speaker, and every keynote speaker we have is kind of like, all right, they're kind of boring at times. And he kind of gets up there, very lackadaisical, and he's wearing a pink shirt, and like, all right, whatever. And next you know, he unbuttons the pink shirt. He's wearing a dark black shirt that says "free hugs" underneath it, and I'm like, what is going on right now?
Yeah.
And then he starts juggling. He's standing up in the seat. We're like, what is this about? Like, no idea. And he goes, so do I have your attention? I'm like, yeah. Like, and he just starts talking about things. And to that point, I've heard many, quote unquote, anti-bullying, programs. And they're all great, but when he was talking about Sweethearts and Heroes, I love the action-based part of it. It's I love the idea of the bully drill, and that was something that really caught my eye. So that day,
stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah, it's absolutely unbelievable. And so that day, I could choose 4 different um, four different four different seminars to go to, and that day I went to um, all four. I went to the same one. I went to the Sweethearts and Heroes four times in a row. I did the same thing, and that night I was thinking about my life, how when I grew up I was bullied as well. But I did have some great friends, and and I thought of them as friends at the time. And looking back at them, like, those kids, you know, they were my superheroes, and I'm like, wow, I'm like that that really changed how I wanted to teach and everything, and go about this. So I emailed them that night, and I said, I want to get you guys to my school as soon as I can. And it was probably that it was that spring uh, when we were gonna get him in, and then yeah, and we got him in, and and the rest is history. Now it's been absolutely amazing.
That's incredible, man. So this has been going on for how long now?
I believe since about 2018 is when we started it.
And how have the kids responded so far?
So it's been amazing. They know when I come into their classroom in the afternoon for about a half hour that I'm doing something with Sweethearts and Heroes. They absolutely love doing the bully drills. They've loved it. It's gotten to the point now where they don't want me to be the bully. That they want to be the bully, and they want to see me be a superhero this time. So they're taken into the different roles. And what I've noticed too is when we first started out, and I said, okay, make a group and everything, and they all go with their friends. Now, when I say, okay, make a group, they're going with people that they never really hang out with on the playground or something like that, and they're going with different people just to get a whole different perspective, which is a big word with us, and and it's been really, really amazing to see.
Wow, I love hearing this. It seems like a lot of vulnerabilities can be exposed, whether you're doing some circle training, you're all sitting there, you're all listening, you can all see each other, or the bully drills. And here's the thing, what I love about Tom and Rick, the whole team, is it's a really, really serious thing, but they make it fun, and it can be really entertaining, as you well know. I'm sure you've seen a lot of laughter going on.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the bully drills they've been amazing, and those have been great. And I've been doing the circles now for about 2 years. I just did a training this past fall up in Rutland, Vermont, and that was unbelievable. That was great. And so now doing those as well, you really get to know a lot more about the students that you wouldn't know just from the bully drills. And one thing I do is I actually share with them as well. So when I ask them, who's your favorite superhero? I'll tell them mine as well. So it's really cool, and I think it's important for teachers to kind of just let down their guard a little bit every now and then, and make themselves vulnerable as well. Because if we're going to ask kids to do it, we have to do it as well as educators.
Yeah, so true. Have you had any special moments, memories, anything particular that will last in your memory of any kind of experience that you've had doing anything with Sweethearts and Heroes, and seeing and experiencing the direct impacts that it's had on students?
Yeah, two really stand out. The first one was actually the first time that Tom and Rick came to my school, and I will never forget that. I was so excited. We had We had a voluntary morning faculty meeting just so the entire staff could meet Tom and Rick. And as they all walked out, they were just hearing, Rick's story, the comments say there wasn't a dry eye in the room. They were like, Eric, we are so excited for this today. So when I made the schedule at the time, there were no breaks. There were no lunch breaks, nothing at all. We went from 9:15 straight to 3:30. And so it was an amazing day. I filmed every single one. I was taking videos the entire time. Everything was going perfect. On the last session, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to film this one. I'm just a little tired now. So there was one girl. She was a first grader at the time. And when Rick walked out, she immediately just shelled up. She was absolutely petrified of Rick. She saw Rick and she started crying, when her friends were around her. And Tom's talking and it introduces Rick. Rick starts talking. Tom comes to me and goes, Eric, when I talk about B for Buddy, I'm going to call that girl up. I go, Tom, what are you doing? She's petrified of Rick. She's not going to help him out. Like, we've had such a good day. I have my superintendents here. Why are you going to ruin the last session like this, Tom? What are you doing to me? So it came time for that. And Tom called her up and she was a little reluctant, but she did get up. And so Tom does this whole thing, puts his bully hat on, everything. He goes over, he bullies Rick, he walks away, and Rick's standing there, goes, man, he bullies me every day, and no one ever helps me out, and it's just, I just don't like this anymore. And no one wants to be my friend. And Rick kind of, crosses his hands, across his body, and she looks over, and Tom goes, do you think you could help him out? And she shakes her head no. So I'm like, here we go. So then, Rick just says, well, I guess I'll never have any friends. And she looks up at Rick and, it kind of pauses for a second. And then she walks over. I'm like, okay. Now at this point, no one even touched Rick's hands all day. No one touched Rick's hand. Everyone would just grab him from the wrist. So she walks over. I'm like, oh my God, she's going to grab his hand. And she does it. She grabs his wrist, uncrosses his arms, and hugs him. Now, I was like, everyone starts crying at that point. And at that moment, I could probably say that was the best moment in my entire teaching career, to see a kid overcome so much fear to go over and hug an individual that is so different from anyone she's ever met in her entire life. That was probably the number one moment in my teaching career so far.
Wow. To bring some context in it, and for folks that are watching and or listening right now who are not familiar with Rick, I've explained Rick many times. I've had him on the air with me several times. As a matter of fact, I think he's going to be on with me again real soon, possibly next. I got to look at the calendar here. Next Wednesday, I'm not sure, but I will promote the crap out of it, of course. But bring some context into this for folks that are not familiar with Rick. Why this girl, and let's be honest, so many other kids at so many other schools, when they see Rick, are like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Rick was in the Army, and this is what I tell the kids. I'm like, Rick was in the Army. He was a very, very, very bad accident, and now he has no ears, he has no nose, but he has a pretty awesome robot leg, and he has burns over his entire body. So he definitely looks very, very, very different. But one of the things with Rick is he has a knack just to connect to people like no one I've ever met in my life. He's absolutely amazing, and him and Tom came out with my family to dinner one night, and my kids still talk about that night. You know, they actually joke. They're like, "Oh yeah, remember Rick and that other guy?" I mean, I would never tell Tom that. Well, I mean, now he's gonna know that, but because he's gonna hear this probably. But 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 I mean, Rick just has an absolute knack just to connect to people. But you know, one of the things that Tom and Rick always say is, and they actually told our staff is when Rick walks out, kids might say, "Ew, disgusting, gross." But let them have their natural reaction. They're children. They have to get that out and just let Rick talk. By the first minute of Rick talking, all the kids were fully engaged. They didn't even notice it anymore. And the way Rick talked about being different and how everyone's different, and how yes, he is a little more different than everyone else, but you know what? So is everyone. So it's he's absolutely amazing at just conveying that message as well.
He's different on the exterior,
Correct.
and maybe even on the interior compared to most of us. I mean, this is a guy who has, honestly, he has embraced a tragedy. He was blown up in a roadside bomb in Iraq, covered in diesel fuel, and was burning alive. Had his leg amputated. I mean, how he survived this after months and months and months, skin grafts, so on and so forth, burned beyond recognition by his own parents. How this guy has taken this tragedy and at one point very much, not wanting to live and asking his soldier comrade to put him out of his misery, if and for him to and I understand that there's different messaging here that he brings to an older audience, a more mature audience, but to bring his message of hope and positivity and resiliency into the hearts of children is amazing. But to also bring in his messaging of, hey, people will bully someone because of their skin color, but what about me? I really don't have a lot of skin, and the skin that I have is burned. I mean, there's no way that he can hide any of that. And I mean, someone that's subjected to harassment, bullying, stereotyping, the list goes on, man. Rick's kind of the poster child of that, and he's flipped it around, and he understands that being different is something that you should embrace and allow others to discover the person that's behind that skin, no matter what that skin is, what color it is, or whatever. That is Rick Yarosh.
Yeah, one of the things I talk to all my students about is the word perspective. That's a big word for younger kids, but I always tell the story, and I've heard Rick say it, and I've seen different interviews with Rick say it too. Is Rick, if you could go back to that one day, change anything, what would it be? And he says nothing, because I wouldn't be where I am today if that accident didn't happen. And to hear that is like, Rick, you got blown up, right, buddy? Like, come on.
I know.
But it's absolutely amazing. He took a extreme negative in his life and turned it into the most positive thing I've ever seen anyone do.
Same here.
Yeah.
I've interviewed thousands of people over the course of my career. Rick stands out as one that, I mean, if I was interviewed tomorrow by someone and they asked me that question, who do you remember the most? Rick would be right up there, top 3 probably.
Definitely.
I mean, he is he's just, and Tom too, man. I mean, these
Tom,
guys. Tom is like the brainchild of this, and is like, he's unstoppable. And Tom Murphy is like, the goal is to change as many lives as possible. Ultimately, and I was saying this yesterday, to prevent a kid from going through with taking their own life and giving up on hope and the rest of their life ahead of themselves. That's the goal, I think, ultimately, for Sweethearts and Heroes. Be a better kid, a better student, a better human being. Help others, but ultimately stay grounded and connected enough in your life where you know what the priorities are of what's most important, work through it, and survive this crazy world that we live in and flourish.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, just to go back on Tom real quick, I mean, it's every time I meet with Tom at a seminar or he comes to the school, I mean, but when I went up to Rutland, in the fall, I was having a pretty rough fall. There were a lot of changes in my school, and things weren't going real well. And and I drove up there. It was about a little under 4 hours for me. Tired. I get there and I leave. You can't help but leave so excited to get back to the classroom right away.
Yeah.
With Tom, he just has this infectious energy that if you're not excited about education when you're done with Tom, then you shouldn't be in education. I'm sorry. It's just he's unbelievable at just getting you energized to take this message and go right back and just tell everyone about it.
Yeah. So true. What's next for the Brewster School District? What are you hoping to do? Are you hoping to? Well, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, no. So we had a absolutely amazing program going for like the past 2 or 3 years. It was so Tom and Rick came to the elementary school, and then I had them go to the intermediate school, which is a 3, 4, 5 building, and then they did one at the high school too, and they've now done 2. They've done 2 at the high school, which have been amazing. And what we do at the high school is we do it's like an hour and a half program in the auditorium, and then we take about 18 to 20 kids, and we put them through some training, and then those kids would come over to the elementary school and they would do bully drills with all the kids, and it was amazing, and it was great for about 2 years. The past year or two, my high school contacts have kind of moved around a bit, so that program kind of lost touch. So I'm hoping to get that back up off the ground and get those kids back into the elementary school. Because I mean, I could talk to them all day, but to have high school kids, I mean, one, they're so much cooler than I am in the kids' eyes. So, I mean, to have a high school kid walk into your first grade classroom, and talk to you, and sit down on the floor with you, it's like that is the coolest thing that ever happened in their little lives right now. It's a lot better than me. So, that would be my next step, is to get that back up off the ground. And that's here at Brewster. I mean, I've done presentations at my kids' own school, which I love that. That was super fun. And now my wife is going to have them go to their school, I think, in the spring. So
wow.
I just want to get them in. And I mean, people ask me, what's the best thing you do? I'm like, Heroes and Heroes. They're like, what's that? I'm like, how much time you got? Because I could talk about it for hours. It's been an amazing program at Brewster. It's changed it's changed how I teach, changed how I, talk to students. I just can't say enough about the program.
Yeah. You know, you know Tom's pretty physically fit still.
Yeah.
Former UFC fighter. He talks a big talk about how he's always doing push-ups and sit-ups and calisthenics and how he runs 10 miles every morning at 4 a.m. And I mean, we've all heard the details of it. The abs, everything.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen him actually do a single, yes or no, a single push-up?
Yes.
How was the form? How was the form of the posture? Was it correct?
Well, Tom's a lot bigger than me, so I'm going to say it was absolutely perfect. Perfect
Wow.
form.
All right. Did he do more than one? I mean, I've seen him do one, possibly two in a hotel room, but did he do? How many did he do?
So there is actually proof. It was during COVID, and he had like a Zoom for a bunch of people, and I went on, and it was in April, which is we still do it here at our school. It's the 50,000 push-up challenge. Our entire school has to do 50,000 push-ups, and then they get to pour a bucket of ice water on me, which is great. But so Tom had me on the Zoom. I was in my living room. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and he goes, "Hey, Eric, why don't we bang out some push-ups quick?" I said, "All right, fine." So I'm thinking we'll do like 5 or 10. We both did 50. So there is proof that Tom can do 50 in a row.
Damn.
Yeah. And I did it, and I was hurting, and I'm sure Tom was absolutely fine after it. So
Yeah. I was going to ask you how much air he was sucking after that, but
no,
yeah.
he was good.
So has Tom wanted to get back to this 50,000 push-up challenge with you and your school?
Well, he usually makes a video for us every year, and he sends it in. And the kids go crazy for him. One of the things that I love is that when he does it, he usually has Rick on the video too, and Rick just is like, "Oh no, Tom, you didn't go low enough. You didn't come up high enough," and so it's so it's kind of cool just seeing their friendly banter go on. But oh yeah, Tom always sends a video every year. I usually make a video, send it to the entire team, which has grown so much
Yeah.
over the years. I mean, with the addition of Pat, has been like, oh my God, Pat's amazing. And everyone now, behind the scenes, Leon is just he's emailing me every day about something. He's I get so much information from him. It's
I know.
it's that entire team is just unreal right now. But yeah, I mean, we're going to be doing it again, this April, which is a lot of fun. And I'm sure Tom and Rick will send a nice video over to us again, and and the kids will love it.
I'm surprised that Tom stopped with or didn't allow for more of a challenge here in not so much in the 50,000, but just a simple bucket of ice water over the head. I'm surprised that Tom hasn't upped the ante on that. Do you think that he might?
Well, the bucket was actually my idea, just to do as something for the kids. We do different things, almost every other month here, which I get pied in the face or something like that. So
yeah, I saw that last night.
Yeah, it's fun. But we've done the bucket every year. If anyone has a better idea, I am open for new and inventive ideas. So send them my way. I'm definitely all for something new.
Maybe a little ice bath for 4 minutes. Just an idea.
I'll do it. That's fine with me.
So do they have to? So the students have to record their push-ups. They have to do this in front of you. Is there proof of these push-ups?
Yeah. So what they do is when they come in for class, so um, I have about say 42 kids in the gym at once. So we'll do
Oh,
yeah. So we'll do 10 push-ups. You know, so there's the 420 push-ups right there, and then I put it up on a board on a whole sheet, and it adds it up, and then every day when they come in, I have a total for the entire school, and then it usually takes about 3 weeks, and they get to 50,000, and then I say, okay, if you get to 60, you know maybe $2 of ice water on me or something like that. So
yeah. Finally, this morning, man, I love hearing this stuff. This is such great. It's positive. It's fun. What's the future looking like for the Brewster School District and your school specifically with Sweethearts and Heroes?
I mean, moving forward, I would definitely I try to have every group or every grade see Tom and Rick at least once. So I would like to have them back next year. Uh, and we have a lot of new staff. We're going to have an entire new admin as well. So just to have them really experience them, at least once is absolutely amazing. I would love to train some more high school students, have them come over. Having that was really really good, and you know I would love to do a circle training here in Brewster. I mean, that to me is,
Yeah.
I mean, those are unbelievable. And if you ever get a chance to be a part of that, it is, you walk in and the first couple of questions you're kind of like, I mean, I don't want to share too much, and then you hear what other people are saying, and you're like, oh yeah, that's happened to me as well, and you just start talking about it, and next thing you know, you're sharing things you never. I mean, I was in Rutland telling complete stranger things I've never told my best friend, and it just these circles have a way of just you feel so open and comfortable,
Yeah.
that just sharing it really makes you feel better, and 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 to hear other people hear what other people are going through, and when the pros and cons in their life is really good. So I mean, I would love to put our staff through that as well, just to have them experience one circle. Like, wow, this is something that you can really bring into the classrooms. Just a little 15-minute break. Hey guys, know what? Let's all make a circle, and let's talk about some things real quick.
What do you say to any school? And usually I kind of close out with this when I have someone on from Sweethearts and Heroes. Any school, any teacher, any principal, any superintendent, any parent who's listening, and any student who might be listening right now that hasn't yet discovered Sweethearts and Heroes, hasn't yet given them an opportunity to come into their school and at the very least do an assembly. What do you say?
In my 23 years of education, I've been through many different programs, many different bullying, um, you know, programs, initiatives, stuff like that. This is the best thing that ever happened to me as a teacher. And I'm saying that not because of the anti-bullying and empathy, just it made me a better teacher as well. And get this in your school. If you are a parent, write to your admin, write to your board of education, get them to come into your school, whether it be Tom, Rick, or Pat, or all three would be the best, obviously. But just hearing their message and how they deal with bullying and hopelessness and empathy, it is so important to have your children learn this. And I think the most important thing is that it is action based. A lot of programs tell you how to, be nice and be kind and don't bully. But then, like I always tell my students, like, well, why do we have fire drills? we practice what to do in case of an actual fire. Well, what if we didn't practice that? We wouldn't know what to do. So that's why we have bully drills, because to tell kids to go into an awkward situation with no training at all, it's not fair for us to do that. So, I mean, having those bully drills, having those skills at a younger age, and then working throughout the circles, in the intermediate and middle school, especially high school levels as well, I think is very important. So this program has really changed the culture of my building. And I've seen it change the culture of, many schools. I love seeing, all the things that Tom posted about, he's at this school and the kids are now doing bully drills in different schools, stuff like that. And it's amazing. But just do whatever you can as a parent, as a teacher, as an admin, get them in your school as soon as you can, because you will never regret it.
Yeah. Great stuff, man. I can't thank you enough for your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I know you need to get back to it. You've got to dive in here to the day, but everything you have said on the air this morning was so profound and memorable, and just keep on doing what you're doing, man. I mean, you and the rest of your team, along with Sweethearts and Heroes, are making some real change happen. You guys really are, man. You're on the edge of it.
Yeah, thank you. I got to give all the credit goes to Tom and Rick, Pat, and the entire team there. Without their hard work, this would never happen. And they are absolutely amazing at what they do.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much, Eric.
Yes, thank you as well.
Eric Buzzetto, JFK Elementary School, part of the Brewster School District over in New York. What an absolute pleasure. And, listen, I want to say this, especially with regard to yesterday's podcast. Keep the comments coming in about bullying. Yesterday's episode was, and today, backed up by today, was really powerful. A lot of stuff uncovered. And so much of this is subjective in nature. Everybody's got a different story, a different experience. There are no two situations that are exactly alike. I know there's a lot of work to be done. And I'm going to reach out to the Berrytown School and see if they're willing to come on and talk about this. In Berry City as well. And in the end, it's not about pointing fingers. It's not about blaming. It's about trying to get things going in the right direction. And that is a tall order, man. That's a big hill to climb. But every Wednesday, we climb that hill a little bit higher every time, especially with Sweethearts and Heroes behind us, pushing us up. And we're going to keep chipping away at it. We are. Here, locally, and across the region. With a team like Sweethearts and Heroes, how can you not? Great stuff this morning. Man, already looking forward to next Wednesday. Got a question here about the roads this morning. From what I understand, from what I'm gathering, the roads are pretty good traveling between Barry and Montpelier. Nothing that is out of the ordinary. They're wet roads, they're slushy, they're messy, but they're not treacherous, they're not dangerous. At least from what I've heard and from what I can see outside my window here, right on the sidewalk on North Main Street in Barry. If there's anything that is particular, that is noteworthy to let us all know about, please do tell, please do share, post a comment right now, and we'll get that information on. But things seem to be moving pretty well out there, despite the snowfall that we've had last night, which I think kind of moved its way out just in about the right time for a morning commute that was significantly better than the evening commute last night. The tractor trailer on the interstate last night, I'm not sure what time that was. It was pretty late, I think, but I hope everybody was okay as a result of that. Recovery Day today on this 11th day of February at the Supreme Courthouse Auditorium. Things going on until 3 o'clock. Absolutely free and open to the public. Every single year, Vermonters gather at the State House and celebrate recovery and advocate for change and bring awareness. And they do a great job. I hope that you're part of it, whether you are battling recovery or not. Show your support to those that are fighting the good fight every single day of their lives. Recovery Day. We shared it up on the Aired Out page early this morning. Being that it is Wednesday, I want to make sure that everybody knows, and I talked about this a little bit at the front of this morning's episode. Today is a great day to take a deep breath, to relax, to unwind, and take advantage of Wellness Wednesday. It is something that Washington County Mental Health has been putting on for a long time, years, and it is so popular. The word is out on Wellness Wednesday. It is free. It is a free service for our community. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what town you live in. You can leave the wallet in the car. Come on indoors, 23 Summer Street, right here in the Granite City, and treat yourself to maybe some acupressure, acupuncture, mindfulness, meditation. They're doing yoga. They're serving up hot tea. You can get a chair massage, a table massage. They do sound healing, Reiki, myofascial body release. And I'm just barely scratching the surface here. If you would like to reserve a time for one of the chair or table massages or the Reiki or the myofascial body release, call Robin right now and let her know. It starts at 4:30. It goes till 7 o'clock. Here's the phone number, and I'll put it in the comments here. 802, of course, 479-4055. Tell her that Aired Out sent you, and that's where you heard about it. 479-4055. 23 Summer Street, right here in Barrie. Washington County Mental Health, I can't say enough good things about them. What they do and have been doing for over 60 years. Person-centered care right here in our community. Amazing. 10,000 Vermonters. And this is just a rough estimate. In just the last year have benefited directly or indirectly from Washington County Mental Health. 10,000 Vermonters. Incredible. What else is happening? Wing Wednesday over at the VFW, Post 790 in Barrie. That starts at 5 o'clock tonight. You can go over to Wellness Wednesday first. Get your massage. Then go over to the Post 790 and grab some wings. Ron Tallman and company. Cooking them up, and they do a great job. Let's see, Thursday, tomorrow, bingo at the Canadian Club. Something to note here, looking ahead on the calendar, February 26th, the All Veterans Dinner is at the American Legion Post 10. February 26th. On the menu, shepherd's pie. Free for all veterans. When I hear the words shepherd's pie, something happens to me. This weekend, day after tomorrow, Friday. And I know, it's Friday the 13th. Everyone's freaking out about that, whatever. I'm not thinking about Friday the 13th from that standpoint. I'm thinking about Friday the 13th because it's the night to shine at the Barry Elks Lodge. I'm thinking about the fact that we've got 100 honored guests that are going to be under one roof having the night of their lives. That's what I'm thinking about. That's a record, by the way. 100. And just about 200 volunteers that are making this happen behind the scenes and right there on the stage. Almost 200 people. The hair, the makeup, the shoe shine, the karaoke, the card games, the entertainment, the DJ, the food, the paparazzi, the photographers, all the people that are doing medical stuff and security and check-in. And, I mean, there is a lot. There are so many moving parts that go to this. And tip of the hat to the Faith Community Church for making this happen again. I think this is year number 4. It's Friday night at the American Legion. I'm sorry, at the Barry Elks Lodge. And it's going to be amazing. I just cannot wait. Can't wait to show my shoes that I'm going to be wearing. Anyway, and I want to give a shout out this morning to Amy Anderson and Amy's Armoire. They've been doing this Pay It Forward program for Night to Shine guests to cover the costs of their formal wear. They will not let anyone say, I can't go because I can't afford formal wear. They won't let it happen. So, just a big thank you to Amy's Armoire, Amy Anderson, Robin Cates, and the rest of the team over there for doing just good things, great things for our community. I love it. Also this weekend, is it the Barry figure skating event? But there is so much going on. There is so much going on. The Winter Co-ed softball tournament is going to be here real soon. Freezing fun for families. February 27th through March 1st. Big deal. The oldest and the largest fundraiser in Vermont. Period. Started in 1999 as a way to raise money for the Central Vermont Co-ed Softball League. And it has now, again, turned into the largest non-professional sports gatherings in New England, making the Guinness Book of World Records. Right here, Barrytown Rec Fields. It's where it's going to be. Friday, February 27th through March 1st. If you haven't been on Freezing Fun for Families on their Facebook page, highly encourage you to check that out. Register your team if you haven't done so and be part of that experience that weekend. It's going to be incredible. Tomorrow, yes, we're going to be on the air. Yes, we're going to have some fun. Yes, I have no idea what to expect. Most of the time, because Rex is going to be in here. And we're going to talk about some of the headlines that are trending right now, not just in Vermont, but in the nation, and things that are going on this week. Crazy stuff. The whole Nancy Guthrie thing. The snapshots of the video of this guy with the Ring doorbell camera and why it's taken so long for that picture to show itself, I'm just as baffled as you are. The guy that was pulled over in a traffic stop and detained and then released last night as a suspect. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of really weird stuff that's going on. Not just with the whole Nancy Guthrie story. There's a lot of people scratching their heads, and there's also a lot of people that feel that this whole story might be kind of coming to a head. And we could have some real information here in the near future. What say you about that? We're going to get into some of the world headlines that have been trending this week and some of the Vermont headlines as well tomorrow. What's going on in Williston with the ICE protests? Arrests have been made. Yeah, there's no question. There's no doubt that there's some really funky things going on here in Vermont and across our nation. Really. And there isn't a day that goes by, frankly, that I don't scratch my head and say, what world are we living in, man? Honestly, what the hell's going on? Find the good. Go back, re-listen to this morning's episode if you need some positivity in your life. Eric Buzzetto. Amazing. JFK Elementary School. Sweethearts and Heroes. Love it. Get yourself out of the house. Temps are warming up. We're what now? 27 degrees this morning, I think it was, when I got here in Barrie. This is a heat wave. Get out of the house. If you can handle it, maybe push a shuffle for a few minutes. Help out your neighbor. Make sure that they're okay. Get on the snow machine. Do some snowshoeing, some cross-country skiing, whatever it is. Maybe just stumble out into the driveway and just take a breath of fresh air for a few minutes. It's not 10 below. Okay? Do that today. Roll the windows down in the car for 5 minutes and just get some fresh air. Please, believe me. It'll do you some good. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Be good. Be kind. Be aware. We'll see you tomorrow morning right here on the Aired Out Podcast.